I'm a combat sports fan. I watch just about everything from Olympic to non-Olympic combat sports to mixed martial arts, and yes, even to sports entertainment, also known as professional wrestling. More importantly, over the last 4, 5, 6 years or so, I watched more international judo than any other combat sport and or sport. Yes, more so than any mixed martial arts league or boxing or wrestling or any other sporting event combined. I'm not saying one sport or one martial arts style or brand is better than the other. I'm not interested in that discussion, nor do I think that these various sports or styles are in direct competition with one another. Every style and sport has its own respectable value proposition, and how it chooses to highlight this value to its current and potential future stakeholders and new fans in this ever-growing combat sport crazed global market audience is the continuous challenge for all combat sports. So, a few days prior to the Budapest Grand Prix, which took place on June 25th and 26th in the Hungarian capital, the International Judo Federation organized a marketing and media seminar with different key departments of the organization and numerous experts. Among these experts, great names in international sports were present to share their experience and expertise, including several IJF executive committee members who were also present and actively participated in all the debates. During the 2 days, television and media experts, IJF staff, and consultants presented the different sectors which are directly or indirectly affected by marketing and media. From top level to grassroots level, everyone agreed that the IJF and Judo have everything in their possession to bring the sport in another higher scope, which will help all judo actors from the international to local level. The IJF president, Mr. Marius Wieser, who opened the seminar and was present during the discussion, said, quote, "The seminar is very important for our organization and for judo. We are talking about the future of our sport. Thank you to our guests for their outstanding support. A lot of work has been done over the past years, and our sport has already changed a lot. We are keeping on making judo more attractive and more popular without abandoning our values, which makes judo different from any other activity." Unquote. This must have been an interesting seminar, and we're going to hear from one of its participants. Welcome to Conversations with Garmamie. In this episode, we'll speak to Nicolas Messner, who works for the International Judo Federation in both media and communications. Nicolas Messner is also the Judo for Peace Director. This is the IJF's permanent commission to promote peace through the practice of judo in conflict, post-conflict areas, and zones of social disorders. The first question I'd like to ask you is, so this is the first time the International Judo Federation organized a marketing and media seminar.
Yes.
First
this
question
was the first time. We had already like meetings, informal meetings, and we're working on that. We've been working on that for a long time, but it was the first time ever that we really organized such a meeting.
What motivated the IJF to organize this key meeting?
As I said, it's marketing and media and communication and development are subjects we're working on it. Like regularly, and I've been working with the IJF since 2010, and those are always been subjects that we were talking about. But we believe that at one point it was good to put together at the same time, the same place, the people who were in charge of those sectors, and to exchange ideas and to brainstorm. So that was the main idea to move forward, because we, as you know, we also, we have the Olympic Games in Rio this summer, and then we enter a new Olympic cycle. So it was interesting and important to be able to discuss those subjects, as we are about to enter the new cycle.
What were some of the major challenges and themes discussed in this seminar?
Basically, as I just mentioned, judo is an Olympic sport, so it's based on an Olympic cycle. So every time we have an Olympic Games, actually it closes the cycle, and then we enter into the new cycle, which will end with Tokyo 2020. And so the main challenges are just like to be able to set up a policy and strategy for the next 4 years. And we have already moved forward a lot. Since 2010, when the actual IJF president was elected, when we had only one event every second year. And now we've got more than 20 events per year, plus all the educational activities and so on. We have already moved a lot forward, and that's why also it was interesting. And it's challenging at one point to organize all of that.
Overall, how did the meeting go for you? Did you feel it was an effective meeting? Did participants enjoy it? How did it go overall?
Yeah, it went super well. I mean, we all know each other, and we're all working together regularly. We had an event in Budapest just after the meeting. I'm not in Mongolia actually because one of my colleagues went, but we have an event in Mongolia this weekend. So we have basically, an event every second week or third week. So we are always working together, but it was nice to have 2 days when when we had only one subject to talk about, even if that subject is wide and spread all over different areas. But I mean, we had one subject and we could take the time to brainstorm and to put ideas together. That was the most, interesting part. To have time to talk about a subject and to go deep into the details.
What are some of these new ideas or new policies that could be implemented in the new cycle? Is there anything you can share with us?
For the moment, I cannot share precisely some details because now the ideas need to be organized. But basically, we worked on the new rules. There will be new rules implemented after the Rio Games. Like judo rules. We also emphasized the fact that yes, we have the sports dimension, the events, the Olympic qualification events, the circuits, the world ranking list, etc., etc. And we have also that major subject, which is education, values, and that we're going to focus a lot on that also during the next 4 years.
Very interesting. What can the global audience of sports fans, not just combat sports fans, but sports fans, expect from the IJF moving forward? I know, obviously, you have the Rio and Paralympic Games this summer, but beyond that, what can we, as sports fans, expect from the IJF? Because over the last couple of years, obviously, there's been a lot of content that's been produced by you guys, and it's been exciting. I'm just curious. Yeah.
As I just mentioned a little bit earlier, before 2007, the IJF had only one event every second year to promote judo at an international level. On the sports dimension, which was the World Championship. All the other events, which some of them existed, like the Paris tournament, the Tokyo tournament already existed, but they were not IJF events. And so we had only one event every second year, which was kind of difficult also to promote the sport. And now we've got 20 events per year, so it's a whole world circuit with 5 Grand Slams, 11 Grand Prix, World Judo Masters with the top 16 athletes per weight category. We've got the World Championship every year, which used to be every second year. You can follow judo almost on a weekly basis, or every second week you've got a major event that gives points for the world ranking list. So we have, you can follow also your champions and say, okay, he's number 1, he's number 10, blah blah blah, and then that world ranking list gives the Olympic qualification 2 years prior to the games. So over the 4 year cycle, you have 1 year and a half, 2 years when you can follow your champions, the newcomers, into brackets, the old guys that are still that are still competing, and then the 2 years prior to the games, you can really follow the qualification.
It's interesting because personally, I think I've watched more judo than any other sport, not just combat sport, but sport through the IJF channels online. So it's been great for myself and many other sports fans, I'm sure. Curious about the Judo for the World docu-series, this educational tool you've got. Can you tell us a little bit about that, where you guys have been where in the world you've traveled, because it's a global story you've been able to tell?
Yeah, so also to explain you where it comes from, that idea of producing that series of Judo for the World.
Please,
personally speaking, I've been working with the IJF since 2010, but I was already involved with development programs, especially in Africa, in Burundi, in the Great Lake region of Africa, for many years, even before I was involved with the IJF. And then we started to develop several concepts, like the World Judo Day. And every year on October 28th, we have a day dedicated to judo and the judo values because it's the birthday of Jigoro Kano, the founder of judo. Then we developed a concept of judo educational journeys through a certain territory. And then for that concept, we go to a certain place like China, like Northern Canada, actually where we met a few years ago,
Right.
In Australia recently. And the idea is for like 10 days to 2 weeks, we travel around the region and we promote the judo educational values. But so far, we never documented those activities. I mean, I was taking pictures. We were reporting it on the website and so on, but we didn't have a document like videos and footage that can show the dimension of those projects and what it can bring to people. So that's one idea. The other idea, we wanted to show that judo can change the lives of people.
Mm-hmm.
And we believe in that, and we believe that it's true and it works. And we wanted to have like those documents that can be shown to the public and to the fans that look what judo did to those people in a positive way. And then the last aspect is also when I was talking and mentioning the circuit and the World Judo Tour and so on just earlier. But I mean, the athletes and the judoka directly concerned by those big competitions there are like approximately 5,000 people around the world that are on the world ranking list and so on. But we've got 20 million people practicing judo. So it means that we've got a huge number of people that who practice judo because they love the sports, because they love the activity, because they love the family that it creates, they love the atmosphere, and they love what judo bring to them. And we wanted also to have like content to propose to, I mean, all the judo fans around the world to show that judo is more than a sport and it's just not going on a mat and fighting and then that's it. No, it's just more than that. And we can bring peace, we can bring happiness, and especially to the young generation. So that's what motivated us to produce those movies.
It's you certainly have a global audience, you know, from having seen the Judo for the World series. You guys, you clearly travel all over the world, but you connect with so many different people, different cultures, different backgrounds through the sport and art of judo. And
yes, and we can also reach new public.
Exactly.
Because I mean, like, if you're judo fans, okay, you will follow the World Judo Tour, the circuits, because you're following your champions, because you know the rules, because you know the sports. But I mean, when you are not a fan, or when you are just relative of someone who is a judoka and so on, you can also be interested through another aspect and other dimensions. And when it comes to education, when it comes to meeting the Aboriginal people in Northern Australia who are doing judo, they're not top competitors, of course. They're so isolated. But I mean, for them, they love judo as much as someone who is deeply into it because he's a champion. Mm-hmm. And so it also connects all those people together. And it gives also us the opportunity, even with our champions. I can mention, for instance, Gévry Zemane from France. She's a triple world champion. She's an Olympic medalist, and she's really involved in development projects. Mm-hmm. I can mention Cal Harrison in the United States. She's the same. So we've got more and more champions that are involved because they want to give back what they received during their career, and they want also to think about what they can do after their sporting career.
Right. I just want to read you a part of a quote from the IJF president and Mr. Advisor. Basically, he's saying we are keeping working on making judo more attractive and more popular without abandoning our values, which makes judo different from any other activity. How important are these values to the sport of judo? I know you've already kind of answered it. Mm-hmm. And why is audience development and making it more popular relevant to this sport?
The missions of an international federation, not only judo, but I mean specifically judo because that's what we're talking about. We've got two missions. One mission is to develop the sport as a sport, so the circuits, the competition that leads to the Olympic Games. The other dimension is to develop the practice of the sport, and that those two missions are in the statutes of the statutes of the IJF, and through that we have to focus on the education and especially the youth, and the values are so important in judo because actually they're part of the DNA of judo. If you take off the values from judo, you have to call it another way. I mean, it's not judo anymore. Mm-hmm. It was founded in 1882 by Jigoro Kano in Japan as an education tool for the youth of the world. That's what he wrote in 1882 when he was only 20 years of age. He was a young guy. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I cannot imagine, me at 22 creating a sports and an activity like judo. Mm-hmm. But he did it at 22 and he wanted to create an educational tool for the youth of the world. And that's what basically it did. And we are still, sticking to that concept, to that philosophy, and to those values. But we are also a modern activity. So we have also to change, because we cannot just sit on our butt. I'm sorry for that, but and just look at the world. And because the world is changing permanently. So we have also to adapt to the world, but to keep our values alive, because we believe also that the society now, and when you look at the news all over the year, the society in general and the society specifically in different countries, they need values.
There's a lot when you speak of change. I can ask you so many questions, but I'm glad you mentioned that. Keeping up with the change of audiences, global audiences, and their demands, and so on and so forth. What speaking of change, going into this Olympics in Japan, the next one will be this one going into Brazil. The one following will be in Japan. What does that mean for the sport of judo?
Oh, for us, it's a fantastic opportunity. Going back to Japan, the first time judo was present at the Olympic Games was 1964, and it was in Japan. And actually, it was where judo really started to spread all over the world, because at that point, judo was dominated by the Japanese athletes, and it was mainly considered as almost 100% Japanese sport. And in 1964, there was that guy coming from the Netherlands, Anton Hessink, and he defeated the Japanese. And actually, it was a catastrophe for Japanese people, but for judo as a worldwide sport, it was a fantastic opportunity, because it showed the world that judo was not only a Japanese sport, and it became a worldwide sport, specifically in 1964. So going back to Japan, where we've got our roots, we still have Japanese roots, and it's still a sport coming from Japan, but now it's spread all over the world. You have people, as I just said before, the Aboriginal people in northern Australia are doing judo. The Aboriginal people in northern Canada are doing judo. The people in Africa are doing judo all over the world, because we've got now 195 national federations, plus 5 continental unions. So, you can basically find judo everywhere.
Judo obviously is a growing sport, combat sport worldwide. It's a growing sport. Which can you give me just the top 3 countries that are developing really fast when it comes to their judo audience development and participation level?
It's kind of difficult to answer. We have strong countries. Like I can mention, France judo is a top sport in France, and specifically because we have an athlete who is now an international role model, like Teddy Riner, and
he's got a documentary on it. They just made a documentary.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So he's definitely a super role model. He's a real hero that goes beyond the sport of judo. Judo is super strong in Brazil, actually. That's the most numerous federation in the world. Right. So it's really, really strong in Brazil, and that's why also
You know Brazil, what's funny? You know what's funny? Whenever people talk to me about, because I'm always engaging in conversation about various combat sports, and whenever I hear the theme of discussion of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I'm like, guys, have you heard of Brazilian Judo? And this conversation is amongst North Americans, and there's still, I think, a need for people in Canada and the U.S. to discover, at the amateur recreational level, to discover judo, because I think
there are approximately 2 million people practicing judo in Brazil. 2 million, it's huge.
Right.
And actually we are not, I know that, like the Olympic Games, the organization, there were so many issues over the past months and so on, about the Rio Games, but actually with judo, we're not really worried, because judo is a really top sport in Brazil.
Sure.
And they're expecting medals actually also for the Brazilian team, and they've got good chances of medals. And then, the concurrence is really high, so we cannot guarantee anything. But judo is really a top sport in Brazil. Of course, it's a top sport also in Japan, and then when we're talking about, potential developing countries, China is definitely a country where judo can develop a lot, because they've got good results so far at the World Championship and Olympic Games, but they don't have so many people practicing. But that's also the system in China. In sports, not only in judo. United States is definitely a country where judo should develop more. They've got amazing champion, Kayla Harrison, Marty Malloy, Stephen Travis are just fantastic champions. Kayla Harrison can, become a double Olympic champion this summer in Rio, and she's the ultimate favorite in her weight category. And she won Budapest last weekend, and she won the Masters a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. So she's definitely a hit, and she can be a hero, and she's already a hero, but she can be really a superhero. But still, judo was super developed in the United States in the 60s, and it went down a little bit. So now we're working with the National Federation to see how we can help them and structure them for judo to become more stronger in the United States.
I was thinking when I heard about when Japan got the Olympics for 2020, mm-hmm. I'm like, it wouldn't surprise me that if by 2020 that judo would be the number one combat sport. My personal opinion, it is, in mm-hmm. comparison to others. My personal and quote-unquote professional opinion, but it will be an opportune time from the end of the Brazil Olympics leading into the Japan Olympics mm-hmm. To see what great communications, products, and stories you guys will be developing at the IJF. Thank you very much for your time, and all the best, and have fun in Brazil. I guess you're obviously going, yeah?
Yes. I'm leaving on August 3rd, so I'll be there on the 4th. And judo is the first week, so we immediately start with the competition. So we'll have one full exciting week of judo. Wow. We're really expecting great competition because the run up to the Olympic Games was fantastic. In some categories, I can mention one category, minus 100 kilograms in the men category. Mm-hmm. I only mentioned that one, but I could do the same with the other category. But that one specifically, the other day, we were counting how many people can be Olympic champion in that weight category. And we finished with, we had like 14 or 15 names. Wow. Of guys that can be Olympic champion. Wow. If in heavyweight, plus 100, if nothing goes wrong with Teddy Riner, is the ultimate favorite in the weight category. Mm-hmm. But in minus 100, for instance, it's just amazing how many people, how many guys on the 5 continents can get the Olympic title. It's just amazing.
The depth of talent, eh? It's
yes,
for sure. Thank you very much, Nicolas Messner. It was nice speaking with you, and have a good day.
Yep, thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to Conversations with Garmamie. For more information, visit garmamie.com. That's GARMAMIE.com, or find me on Facebook at Conversations with Garmamie. Conversations with Garmamie.